Hello, Internet. My name is John Kulas. I'm a 20-year professor of industrial and organizational psychology, 10-year user of R for normal, boring statistical applications. And for the last 7 or 8 years, I've also been using R to wrap entire projects and author. So every week I get together and hang out for about an hour, and sometimes some collaborators stop by, but we just go over features of using R as an authoring platform. So toward pursuit of end products like papers and technical reports and websites and slide presentations. And so what we do every week is we kind of explore these features in an open-ended exploratory manner. I'm kind of big on mistakes and mistakes being an important part of learning. So I like doing this kind of live stuff where it's not really canned, and we can make mistakes and might 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 stumble across something that we hadn't thought of or intended to stumble across. So anyway, we do these in an exploratory manner, fully expecting that we're not going to be fully perfect on these, but because of that, what we do at the beginning of each subsequent section. Ooh, look at that. I'm gonna have to look at our CSS file and see why that's happening. But so because we're open to making mistakes and not being perfect with this, what we do every week is we try to package what we learned in a more linear, straightforward, kind of more amenable to learning kind of format. And so if you stumble across these, most people are interacting with these not during the live sessions, but sometime in the intermediating week. So if you happen to stumble across one of these and are interested in a topic, you might want to look at the following week, because during the first roughly 20 minutes or so, I gotta unplug something here. Yeesh. I had a heater going on, a space heater, which sounded like a great idea. It's 80 degrees here. I don't know why I had it going, but I was a little chilly, and I don't know. The older you get, the more you need a shawl and space heaters, and circulation doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So anyway, it's a bit of a segue, but um, because every week we just kind of look into these features, not fully wanting to give a tutorial on these, but to show people how someone with a little bit of knowledge and experience with these platforms kind of still struggles through learning and applying new things. So the subsequent week, we always take what we learned the previous week and we do package it in a format that's a little more consistent with the kind of stuff you see on YouTube, which tends to be tutorials. Hey, you want to do this? Here's how you do it. And so we'll do a recap of what happened last week. You can see a little preview here because the slide format might look a little different than you're used to seeing, because we applied last week's theme to this week's slides. And then the big thing that I think I'm excited to check out, and I'm excited for other people to see and to share their experiences with this, is to integrate some AI into our coding. And so the one that seems to be most seamlessly integratable, given the workflow that I'm using with RStudio, and sharing all my projects through a development environment called GitHub, is to use the GitHub's code helper, which is called GitHub Copilot. So actually, the AI-ness of what we're doing is going to probably bring in some more interested parties here this week, I'm guessing.
Vamos a ver, ¿qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que pasa con los alcaldes? ¿Qué es lo que sí, ¿qué está pasando con los alcaldes?
Hey, hello.
Diego, how's it going?
Good, pretty good.
Um, so we're gonna check out GitHub Copilot. And have you played with it at all yet, Diego?
No, I do have Copilot here in Windows, but I don't use it with GitHub or R.
Okay. So hold that thought and bring it up again, will you please? Because we're gonna come back to that.
Okay.
Before we do, let's actually see what happened last week.
If you think you have troubles, just listen to this. Rocky and Bullwinkle have discovered a rich lode of upsidasium on Mount Flatton, but because upsidasium falls up, they can't hang on to any of it. Besides that, Boris and Natasha are still going through the rogues' recipes and the Fireside Crookbook to discover a way to steal the whole floating mountain. And besides that, a deadly black jet is streaking their way bearing the sinister figure of Boris's boss, Mr. Big. And besides that...
And besides that, the episode is half over already.
We gotta figure out how to hold on to our upsidasium, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, I know everything's going up these days, but this is just silly.
We need somebody who knows all there is to know about mining.
Hey, what about asking Mojave Max?
Good idea, Bullwinkle.
And our trusting heroes started off to find Mojave Max, who in reality was their worst enemy, Boris Badenov.
You need to put the Dragon Ball Z recap music. That'll attract people from my generation.
What is that? I didn't know that was a thing.
Dragon Ball Z is a TV show, and
I know that, but I didn't. They do recaps too of like what happened the previous week.
yes,
Ah,
it's very iconic. The music.
okay. Well, I'm gonna look that up. Maybe I'll do that next week. He kept saying, and then, and it reminded me of like a teenage comedy movie where they're at a drive-through, and the drive-through person keeps going, and what else? Or what did you
Oh
say?
yeah, that was dude. Where did where's my car? Dude, where's my car?
Was that that was the movie it was in?
I
Okay.
think so. Or maybe,
You're
not, or maybe something similar. I don't know.
Well, you're probably right, but I may have to go back and take a look at that. So the last few weeks, what we've been doing is figuring out or like looking into options for customizing these things that we're producing. And one of the things we want to produce are these slides, the slides that you see every week, and I put as a link in the comments every week. And so what we did last week was we created an SCSS file, and we called that up, and that's what these slides are. So what you're looking at is an SCSS. Is the styling is directed by this SCSS file, and so one of the big things you can see is the font that we use, and the font that we used we only applied to the titles of these slides, and so the kind of 1950s, 1960s looking, it's definitely got serif on it, little pointies on the font. That was actually a font called, what is it called? Font Diner Swanky. we found it out as a Google font. And so now after having done all kinds of customizations with fonts over the course of the last year or two, 3 or 4, maybe even more than that, I think I can say with some confidence that as long as you have an internet connection, trying to access fonts not locally from your computer and installing them on your computer, but just grabbing them from, if you're okay with the options available on Google Fonts, it's so easy and it's straightforward. And that's what we're doing here, is we're saying, computer probably doesn't have it, but there's a kind of API link that will access that directly from Google, and that's what's on line 3 here. And so there should be there's a hyperlink to Google Fonts if you want to check that out and see what they have available. The colors, I'm going to come back to the colors in a second here. And by the way, these on line 10, on line 5, those double forward slashes, that's a comment. So it doesn't have any consequence to the stuff. It's just a way of organizing this information. So headings, colors, fonts, the double slash in front is saying these are just commented out sections. There's a different way to comment, which accommodates longer chunks of code, which is on line 14. So on line 14 here, you have the 1 / asterisk and then a closing asterisk / that's intended for larger chunks. That's something that I learned through this process. I was familiar with the / asterisk / I was not familiar with the double slashes. If anyone's interested, I had to become familiar with the double slashes because this code chunk that you're looking at is actually imported as a CSS code chunk, and the way that you specify these annotations within code chunks is to use the native comment symbol for whatever the language is you're expressing. And so typically that's R, so the comment symbol is just a pound sign. So pound sign, angle brackets, number, that's how these things are normally structured. Here it's structured differently because we got to use a different comment annotation, and so the double forward slashes are how we get this to render in the current slide deck. Now the font diner swanky font itself, we used it only with headings, and so this $ presentation heading font is where we specified that. And I think my image is getting in the way here a little bit. So let me see if, there we go. Oh, that's a big note. So so this looks a little messy, and so I thought we should probably describe it a little bit. So there's several different fonts specified on these lines 17 and 18 here. I don't know if this is the proper terminology, but I'm calling it a font stack. So the first thing is what you want to happen. If that isn't available, then it goes to the next, then it goes to the next, then it goes to the next. There's also some difference here in terms of scripting the double quotes versus not quotes. That to me, it looks like it's just simply, is there a special character included in the name of the font itself? And for fonts, the most common special character is just a space. And so if there's a space there, it's in double quotes. If there's not a space, it's not. What else do we want to take a look at here? We played quite a bit with colors as well for this theme. And then there's one other, oh yeah. So down here, I added one thing that we didn't talk about, that we didn't go over last week. So there's one extra step that I took that I found that I thought was kind of interesting, and I've mentioned this before. So the themes that, there's a hyperlink there, so I'm just looking at it. The themes that I've started to gravitate toward in terms of the existing posit authored themes that come built in and are directly accessible, not through specifying SCSS, but just saying, hey, this is a theme and I want it. There's about 11 or 14 of them here, I think. And that sounds like a weird two numbers to say, 11 or 14, but for some reason I have those two in my head, so I think it is either 11 or 14. But the league theme is one that I've been using with a lot of frequency, and one of the things I like about the league theme is how it has this washed out middle. And so the washed out middle is generated by this mix-in body background command. And so that's what I took. In order to get the washed out effect here on these pink slides. Now you can see it most prominently on the previous slides where there's not a big image in the middle, but it's a subtle thing. But if we're going to go ahead and do our own theme, why not do subtlety, right? So that to me was worth actually doing in the off week. So that's the only thing that's included here that is not specified last week. And I just played with these two. I just played with these two line 37 values. So I wanted something a little darker than what we originally specified last week in terms of a dark pink. So that F2 BBEA is a little darker than what we originally wanted, which was E9CE. Let's take a look at these. We'll actually take a quick look and see. I don't know if we can look at them side by side. I guess if I put two tabs up, we can. So and again, the highlighting is something that we should have probably played with. I didn't play with, but it's something we probably could have played with in order to make it so it's not visible. So this is the difference that I did. So last week we had the left hand pink as the entire solid color on the background of slides. And then if we're going to do a washout, I thought we should make it a little more saturated for that pink. So I went to this color here on the right. So And then the Pink Panther, the logo itself is not something that you're going to specify within a CSS file. I was kind of wondering if we could force it maybe, but it's not. I mean, maybe we could. I don't know. It probably could. I guess I'm not sure. But so instead of spending any time really trying to see if that's even,
By the logo, do you mean custom themes too? The title?
I'm just talking about this little guy down on
Oh,
the right. So that little guy down on the right, if we were to look at the code that we have for this week's theme, there's just, and again, this looks really messy because I've left a lot of stuff in here over the weeks that we don't necessarily need, but it's on line 22 here. So it's specified in the YAML, not in the CSS file itself. So if I access that link, you see what it actually is, and it's the same as this lower right hand logo here. And again, there's a little bit of monkeying around just to find something that has a transparent background, because by default a lot of them don't. It's kind of annoying. But so that was last week, and that was custom themes, and there's a hyperlink here if anyone's interested in a little help beyond what we did last week in terms of how to get started on those custom themes. I really like the Pink Panther one. It's kind of a, I don't know, silly, what else are we gonna do kind of thing. No big secret here. I'm a kind of a big Pink Panther fan, so it's probably again not a big surprise. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna check out one of these AI integration coding scheme helpers. And Diego, you had a good point earlier about using Copilot for Microsoft Office products.
yeah.
So I was curious about that myself. So I did some exploration into kind of how similar and how different are these things. And so the Copilot that most people are familiar with is the Copilot that's used for Microsoft products. Now, Microsoft owns GitHub, and so the name itself, Copilot, you would think it's probably the same AI engine. It's not. So they ultimately have some sort of. They both have some genesis from OpenAI, but they've since diverged in terms of their purpose and capabilities, and even what AI engines they actually use. So the GitHub Copilot that we're going to be taking a look at is actually different from the more generally known Copilot. And so there's hyperlinks on here. I'm going to follow those in a second. But you are going to need, if you're going to do this, you are going to need to have a GitHub account. And so I put a link on here to a resource that I made years ago with some colleagues, I guess, colleagues, very good students. So border between colleagues and students. And if you want to connect with any of us, any of them, the LinkedIn information is there. What you're looking at here is the old slide format that we used before Quarta. This is Jeringen, and so Diego and I have both authored a few of these types of slide presentations. Diego, this looks weird now just looking at it, doesn't it? It's been so long.
The
Jeringen?
Oh, this is Sharingan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it just looks quite a bit different. There's a lot of hyperlinks. The functionality is very similar, but if you are not yet integrated in terms of connecting your RStudio, if you're using RStudio, I think what we'll do, this will probably be a multi-week session, or this will probably be a multi-week topic. So this week we're going to talk about RStudio, implementing GitHub Copilot within RStudio. We might do a VS Code or Positron, different IDE next week, depending on how far we get tonight. We might instead just do a further feature exploration. But if you want to get your computer set up for what we're doing tonight, you can access you can access this first GitHub link. It'll take you to that resource. You can take a look at that resource and walk through it. And hopefully that'll get you set up in terms of your local machine being connected to a GitHub account. Now you can sign up for a GitHub account for free, and it's all linked in that resource. And if you have questions about that, like I said, you can connect to any one of us on LinkedIn or just drop me a note. You can leave a comment on this video. I usually get an email when someone comments, so I should be able to check it out. Now, assuming that you have GitHub set up, I do. That's the only prep that I've done. Is I've had a GitHub account for a few years. Guess I'm not sure how many. This is my GitHub account. It's JT Kulas, and I have quite a few things up here. I have, if we take a look at my repositories, I use this primarily for our projects. So I use this for collaborating with people that are working on projects that are co-authors with me. For example, this chatbot assess, one of the co-authors on this is currently on this stream as well. So Diego, one of the people working on that. Alicia is probably watching us right now. She said hello earlier. She's a collaborator on this JDR journal submission. Live streams, what you're looking at here, I have all of the files that I use to create and produce these weekly slides are up here and available. These are all public. I have some private repositories as well, but as much as possible, I make them public. And so signing up with GitHub is very straightforward. The free accounts have a lot of functionality. At some point I'm likely going to need to move away from the free account for some of the stuff that I'm doing. But as a professor, as a student, as a heavy user, I'm on there quite often. I'm on there daily. Multiple times daily. I'm interacting. It's called pushing, so I'm putting stuff up there on the shared repository so other people can access it. It never had an issue with anything like file size or space. Now, Diego, that's not entirely true because you and I had some massively huge files.
Oh yeah, the simulations.
But that's not even fair. So we can't release. That's not fair to slam them with that. I mean, were those a gigabyte each? Or those are huge, right? Those are just massive data files. We simulated trillions. It's probably trillions.
Not trillions,
Okay.
but it was like 5 million data points.
Okay. Well, that's not even that bad. But okay. I thought we were in the trillions. There's been a lot of talk recently about the United States debt, and I saw somebody had kind of a neat. It's one of those units of measurement, like whoa moments, where they said 1,000,000 seconds. Well, it was like yesterday or something. There's 86,400 seconds in a day, so I know that 1,000,000 seconds was not yesterday, but it's some recent. And by the way, I know 86,400 because I used to use SPSS a lot, and it's an important number for SPSS.
Oh wow. What is it? A bug?
86,400?
Oh, that's the limit of the.
No, that's the number of seconds in a day, because all of these computer programs, they have the capability of presenting information, date information, for example, in a format that's digestible for humans, but none of them store it that way. So SPSS stores date information as the number of seconds that have elapsed since October 17th of the year 1582. R stores data information of the number of seconds, I believe, that have elapsed since January 1st of 1970, or somewhere around there. So it's a lot more recent. But anyway, so there's 86,400 seconds in a day, because in SPSS you have to know that in order to do date transformations, Diego. For people like us, if we want to do like a tenure calculation, right? We take day of fire minus day of hire. it always shows up as a weird number, but that's just because it's in multiples of 86,400. Now, we don't typically have to do that in R because there's functions that we can apply that give us data information when we do manipulations to the data. How did we start talking about this? I don't even remember. So, anyway, so we're looking at Copilot tonight. I don't know what that has to do with dates, but hopefully somebody got something useful out of that.
we were talking about you're remembering a number from
Oh,
the
right, right.
inflation.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry. So the debt, yeah. So a million seconds is. We got a calculator right here. Let's see. Is 11 and a half days ago. So I just divided a million by 86,400. So that's 11 and a half days ago. And a billion seconds is like, I don't know, 3 years ago or something. And a trillion seconds, to kind of reinforce, the magnitude of that number, it's like 3000 BC or something. It's some ridiculous, like far in the distance number.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So, so anyway,
GitHub cannot store all that.
so you rightfully called me out on that, Diego. We do not have trillions of data points because GitHub would have probably told us, go pound sand. We're not doing that for free for you. But other than that, they're great. And so they have available within GitHub. And I think, again, I believe this has to have, I'm speaking out of turn here a little bit, but because GitHub is now owned by Microsoft, it's not the same product, but it's kind of branded similarly. So Copilot, again, my understanding is they both, the Office Copilot and the GitHub Copilot, they both had their origins somehow in OpenAI, and now they have kind of diverted a little bit in terms of purpose and use. But so you need a GitHub account in order to access this, and then there is the billing, and again, I have no stake in this, but the billing seemed fairly reasonable. So the billing, I think, for the GitHub commercial use for the Microsoft Office products, that billing looked to me to be around $30 a month for individual licenses. For GitHub Copilot, I believe the number is $10 a month. Now, there are different tiers, and the other thing that's helpful for me and hopefully a lot of people out there is if you have a education affiliation. I don't think this even needs to be university. I'm not 100% sure on that. That's the normal kind of route someone would go to do this. But if you were a student or faculty, you can get access to this for free. That's what I did. So even though I'm not a full-time professor anymore, I still have some affiliations. And so I leveraged one of those affiliations to get access to this. Now, even if you don't have access to a university as a faculty, as a teacher, instructor, or as a student, there's still, it seems to me, it looked like there was a kind of a free check us out kind of account thing, so you could actually do that. So I already have okay from GitHub. They're like, okay, you check out Kulas. I see that you have some affiliation, so we're gonna give you access to GitHub Copilot. So the only thing that I've done is I've told GitHub that I would like access to this, and they said okay. And I literally just clicked on this link here that says GitHub education page, and it took me through a few kind of wizard type steps in order to be approved, and the approval was really quick. It wasn't a big issue. Now I think we're okay in terms of requirements here. It just needs a version of RStudio that is at least as recent as a version that came out in 2023. Now, normally that would be an issue for me, but I just recently kind of updated my RStudio, and I've been not happy about it, but I did it. So maybe it's all gonna kind of pay off tonight. So let's go ahead and see if we can follow their instructions here and see if we can get it connected. So I'm going to, from within, I'm going to try to make this so it's a little easier to see. I might as well get out of this project too. I don't think it matters, but there's no real reason at this point to be in the live stream project. I'm going to go to Tools, Global Options, Copilot. And again, I haven't done any of this. There is a Copilot icon at the very bottom of this menu here. Check the box, enable GitHub Copilot. There it is, top option. It's not current. The agent is not currently installed. Would you like to use it? We'll go ahead and say yes. Now I have my phone with me tonight too because I'm probably going to need to do some authentication, and that's been coming through on my phone for anything unusual that happens within GitHub. Okay, so it says it's authenticated. Now it says it wants a sign-in dialog. Now it's possible I don't need to do that. Oh, yeah, there's a sign-in here. So in the upper, I used to have a cursor highlighter. I don't think I have it easily accessible right now. Let me do a quick search, see if I can get that, because that probably would be useful here tonight. I might have deleted that thing. There we go. Okay, so I'm looking in this area here, and so there is a sign-in button, and this should be where I need some authentication. I do have a verification code. Let's see what it wants us to do with that. Copy the verification code. Okay, and then we go to login device. Okay, so it looks like it's fairly straightforward in terms of what we should do. Well, now I'm going to hit the cancel button, and it sounds like it's going to take me to and it didn't, so we'll just follow this link. And that's me, and I'll probably have to do, there's my two-factor authentication. You know, kind of seems like it's a lot actually now after going through. It's great. Like, it's easy, but oh, crying out loud. I copied it to my clipboard. I didn't write it down, so I'm just pasting it so I can access it. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe I'll take this off screen. Everyone saw it anyway, right? Everyone saw it. I just feel like I shouldn't be. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get my identity stolen or something. So I'm just entering that code. I don't know if it's case sensitive or not. I guess we'll find out. What are you working on, Diego? It sounds like you got something you're working on there.
Oh, you can hear my keyboard.
Yeah, it's not a problem. I just was curious.
No, I
Minneapolis.
was just checking some emails.
So my IP address is outed. It looks like. Okay. Okay. Well, that was less painful than I assumed it was going to be. Your RStudio ID will indicate the currently signed in user. So now apparently if we go back here, sure enough, there it is. You're currently signed in as this miscreant. Close the global options, open a source file, and begin coding. All right, here we go. This is what we waited for.
Yay.
So, yeah. Um, begin coding. Well, we'll start with a script. Now we're gonna want to definitely do a Quarto file, maybe a Markdown file as well. But I think to
How
start with,
about we try it? We start with something simple. I tell it to make a simulation of a random assessment.
okay, but I don't know how simple that is. So I did do some reading into this, and it says it should be able to read. I don't even know if it's on. So how do we know if it's on?
Shouldn't we see? Yeah.
I guess just enable must be on. I don't know. I was expecting a little dancing cat or something to appear. Do you remember the old Microsoft paperclip animated guy, girl
Yeah.
thing? I didn't. I wasn't a big fan, but I don't know. I was kind of. I would like it here. Like I didn't like it then, but I think I would like it here.
A little bot telling us, "Hey, hello."
You like your bots. Let's see if I have a. I think I have a bot drop here somewhere. So anyway, the thing it was supposed to. One of the things it can do, apparently, Diego, is identify context. So if we are good with our comments, it should be able to help. So if we start, like you said, start simple. What if we just start with, I would like some visual representations of the Palmer penguins data or something like that, or the
Yeah.
iris data. So that was an autocomplete already. So that it's giving me, well, I don't like that. I assumed that return was gonna accept the suggestions.
Oh, it's doing it in Python.
No, it's not. We're gonna change that. Uh, so that's a little funny because if we save it, oops, I'm sorry. We should save this maybe, and then it'll know that it's an R file. I guess I assumed that it would know since we opened a script type. It knows what we want to save it as, but we didn't explicitly say so. So let's actually save it. Now we shouldn't have to do in R anymore because it's just R. Okay, so I'm going to accept that. I haven't typed anything yet. It wants, okay, so it's suggesting the libraries. I have all of these. These are, what's going on up here? There's an I. Okay, load the
Huh.
data set. What? Oh, the I seems to be
It's
showing
giving
up.
comments.
Okay, so the I is just saying comments. Now let's run these. Oops. Now I'm gonna have to get used to that because the autocomplete in our studio operates differently. So return accepts the autocomplete. Tab is doing the autocomplete here. I didn't want that. How do I tell it I don't want structure? Structure's dumb. I've never looked at. I mean, it's not dumb.
Yeah, I mean, you just
So,
have the environment.
but let's tell it. How do we tell it I prefer something? So, did you see what I just put there?
Yeah, to use psych scribe. I just used the scribe the other day to check the kurtosis of some stuff I was looking at.
Good boy. It still isn't. It still isn't doing that. Um, It still wants structure. Okay. Um, so this is not at all consistent with
I think
kind
you
of a
have to change it on the first line, number one. That's your prompt, maybe. It also has two hashtags instead of one.
that's just me though. I that so it's doing all the other comments. Uh, it's doing all the other comments. That my preferred way of annotating things is to do those two. Uh, what if I just say no?
No,
It's
wait,
still
maybe it does it now with psych. Just press enter.
it
No,
seems to
instead
be
of structure.
kind of single-minded here in its preferred route. Okay. Well, let's take its suggestions. We'll see what those look like, and then, like I said, um, oh, here we go. So it is altering a little bit. What? 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 We do not
Oh
need that.
wow. It's like checking if you have the library installed. I mean loaded. Instead of just loading the library, which would be simpler. It's like doing a conditional statement.
Well, the other thing it's doing is it's still doing a little autocomplete, but again, I'm used to the whole I'm used to using the return button to say okay for the autocompletes. Uh, I I wish there were a better way to. So again, we're just playing with this for the first time, but there's I'm not seeing a great way to give it correction immediately. Uh, but sure. No, we don't want that. Let's do. Well, let's take this, but then let's change the next one that it gives. Okay, so here's the first bit of code that it gave us. Yeah, flipper length. I've never seen flipper length. Now, this AI doesn't know what he's doing. So let's take a look at our. So AI, why are you looking at the structure of penguins and then saying that there's an object there that doesn't exist? Flipper. There's a flipper length, but there's not a flipper width. What is it pulling that from, I wonder? Are there like some definitions here of
Huh.
these labels? So sometimes I know that you can get a little more complex um, with these data frame objects, and I haven't used them, but I know I've seen data files come in with something like labels on the variable names themselves, and it looks like that's what this is here. But I'm gonna do names on the penguins data set because to me that's more helpful than structure even. So it looks like it wants flipper len, not flipper length I wonder if there's a different, maybe there's a newer data file. Let's look at that next because that should be okay. There we go. Okay. So AI 0, KI, and DI 1. That's one for Diego intelligence and Kulas intelligence. Uh,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, but we could have got that just from.
Tell it to make a plotly now.
Ooh, I like that. Can it read above? I wonder. Can it do that? The other thing we can do was doing that
Oh, it's doing
if
like
required.
it's checking if you have it loaded.
I I guess that's not for something like a dashboard or something like that. That's not a bad idea, right? I mean, the way that we're hosting dashboards, the packages are going to be there. But like, if we had something that was hosted somewhere that maybe the package wasn't installed, like I could see that being very useful. Uh, okay, let's try it. Now that's a lot better. I like that. I love these Plotly objects. Um, okay. The other thing it really wants to do this box plot. All right, we don't want to piss off the AI, so it wants to do the box plot. So we'll let it do the box plot because
You know
someday it's.
what would be cool? Like, like make some mistake, some bug intentionally, and see if it can fix it. If you ask it to, fix this code, or debug it, find out what's the issue with it. Because when you work with R and like something more complicated, you're gonna be using functions, and that's often like really hard to debug.
Okay.
Thinking maybe like species is like X is like has no value in it. You remove species and see if it. I mean, it'll probably fix it really
Well, I
easily.
was thinking about changing the name.
Yeah,
What
that
if
could do
we?
too.
So so yeah. Let's see. So penguins. I think what I just changed was the three different types of penguin. So we'll want to do another kind of faceted or differentiated. We'll let it go through a couple of these and see if it picks up on our. Uh, yeah, okay. So it didn't see that. So we should be able to. We're supposed to be able to actually ask it a question as well. And I think we do that by hashtag Q. And if it doesn't work, we'll go back and look at the help page. Um, but we should be able to interact with it here. Yeah. Now it didn't give me an A. I thought it was. I thought if it was a direct. No, you were wrong. It's not because FlipperLen. FlipperLen is in there. Why does it not think that FlipperLen is? Let's do competing AIs here. We'll do Grok. I've been using Grok quite a bit. Why does GitHub Copilot seem to believe that the variable names within the Palm seems to know if we put those ticks in there? Let's go back and change. Oh shoot, I changed what it. Let's see if we can get it to give us another one of these here. So, because we played with that code, so let's see if it can give us another error-prone one. Now, what it seems to want is it seems to want you to go to the next line. And yeah, it still made the same mistake. So I'm gonna put these in like competing. Maybe we're starting like World War V here, Diego. We're Grok and Copilot are gonna go after each other. I wonder if there's an updated that correctly identifies as variable names.
I mean, it doesn't know that you changed the name, so how's it? It's just gonna give you random information about GitHub that it found online. I'm guessing the advantage here of this,
I
Copilot
think
on.
I think they're ganging up on us. I think the AIs are gaslighting us. They're telling us that these are the variable names within the data set, and we don't see that. But go ahead again with your explanation. Oh, we have comments. Sorry, I wasn't watching. Hey, Max. Yeah, this is for you, Max. You can see it in about the middle of your screen. It's on. Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't watching the comments. Oh, what were you saying, Diego? Why do you think?
So yeah, it doesn't know that we changed the name of the header for what was it? Stop it, penguins. So
Yeah, but that wasn't for these two. That was for the species.
oh, it thinks it's another header name. I don't know. It must be hallucinating.
This kind of really is getting to me. I'm not sure, unless the computers are indeed taking over and we all have just very limited time left here on this green globe. I'm not sure what's going on here. Simplified data set. Oh, uh, no, it's not.
Well, I
Huh.
have to go get going to have dinner.
Okay, thanks Diego for popping by. We'll probably do this again next week if you want to check it. It'll be next week. It'll be more test running it. This week's more just kind of seeing how to use it.
Yeah, this is
So
cool. It does the scripting for you. I wish I could install it for my work computer, but I can't. I need to contact IT to download the most recent R version and all that. But and I don't think they have it available. But yeah, I'll put it on my computer on this one.
okay, well yeah, maybe if you're available next week would be fun because maybe we can press it both of us on either side and we can see if we can really start World War Z. We'll get competing warring AIs working against each other.
Sounds good. Well, okay. Have a good night. Bye.
All right, thanks Diego. Bye. Um, yeah, so there's some peculiarities here. I'm not sure where it's pulling those names from. That's one thing I'm going to look into. The other thing I guess we can do is this question and answering thing here, because that was something that I did see. I did see as kind of a recommended, check this out. This is one of the ways you can interact with this kind of thing. And I'm pulling up the slides for this week because uh, I know I have a hyperlink here to the help page, and let's see where it was here. So it's a bunch of installation stuff up front, and talks about autocomplete versus using Copilot. And again, that one of the main things I'm seeing here is the enter versus tab kind of toggling. Now, here's what I was thinking. I wonder if it's just that we don't have a space. Is it space sensitive, maybe? And again, kind of sitting there with your, or going the line under, that's not giving me an answer. I wonder if it needs to be in the console. That doesn't make much sense. I don't think that's going to happen. It can't be the terminal. Um, okay, so I guess maybe it's just a little outdated in terms of the help page. It looks like it might not be giving a comment A. Use a comment with a comment Q colon. I think we did everything it wants us to. We can take its default question here. We'll try that. Ooh, now it gives us an A. What? What? What is, do you not like? What don't you like? The only thing that's different here is I didn't capitalize Y. Don't tell me that's it. If it's going to be, okay, come on. So GitHub Copilot is a grammar police apparently. I mean, it's giving us the same information. It's just it didn't give me that pound sign A until I put a capital W in. That's the only difference that we have. Let's see if we can go back and forth with this a little bit. Oh, I gotta put a question mark. No, okay, let's no, this is really driving me nuts. So let's do the question, let's do the structure again. And see if it'll run it or give us code to run it in addition to the answer. Now there might be I think I did read there might be a limit here on on some of on our ability to question. And I don't know if you can notice it there, but we're getting in our status bar here, we're getting a little Copilot feedback in terms of what it's doing. Is it thinking? Is it waiting? Yeah, we know we can do that. So I'm gonna get out of the script just because I'm kind of getting sick of this. My first impression is not great, and it's working fine. I'm a little frustrated at it's telling me that there's variable names here and they're not, and so and the fact that both the two independent AIs are ganging up on me and saying no, that is what's in there. Um, we're almost out of time here this week, and we'll continue this next week as well. So we'll do a recap of how to install, and then just taking a look, and then next week we'll do a more kind of thorough exploration, and we'll build an actual report. But I'm very curious to see if maybe there's an updated version of this that I'm not familiar with. Okay. It looks like that might be the case. If that's the case, I'm not going to feel quite so bad. So let's go ahead and check for updates and see if the Palmer Penguins package is one that I need to update. Oh, you know what? That comes built in with R, doesn't it? So it probably is that I'm outdated a little bit on my R. Uh, contains 2 data sets. Palmer. Oh, I wonder if it just read in the wrong doggone data set. So when it said penguins, I wonder if it wanted Palmer penguins. And it's possible that we just don't have an updated version of, where'd it go? I lost it. That we don't have an updated version of R, and that's what's going on. So let me see if I can, oops. July 25th, 2020. Uh, 22. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't know what's going on here, but we're actually seeing that the description of the data set does have the, maybe it's a Tibble versus, maybe is it a Tibble versus? have to, well, let's ask AI actually. Let's see if we can do that. Oops, I did the same doggone thing. The tab is really getting to me. Um, what is going on? Now it says there's no package called Palmer Penguins. Did I change that? The universe is out to get me. Um, yeah, so my first impression is I'm a lot more confused just writing this than I would be normally. But that's, I guess, not entirely surprising. Oh, why is there not a package called Palmer Penguins? So it gave us that error early as well. Um, I guess, I guess maybe I didn't have it loaded. So I thought it came loaded in with base R, but that might be the whole issue. But how is it, like, where's it pulling penguins from then? So it looks like R wasn't wrong. It was just assuming that I had the penguins data set from Palmer Penguins, the the package. Um, whereas, oh, I didn't save any of that. Let's try it again. Let's see what our object looks like here. I'm going to sweep the environment. And again, it's doing all of this, but this is all we want. All we want is the data set itself. And yeah, it looks like we just had a different access to the same data set because now we are getting those variable names. That's weird. I mean, that's one thing I guess I can look into is where the heck were we pulling that data from if I didn't have the Palmer Penguins package loaded? Is that coming from base R? It almost has to be. Unless, no, it almost has to be because we only loaded, unless it's in ggplot. Is that something that's in ggplot? I'm going to look up the CRAN information on ggplot really quickly here because that's the only place it really could be from. So let me see if I can do a find on this. That's the only other package that I think we loaded, or dplyr. We had dplyr as well. Do a find here. It's not finding it. That find isn't always all that helpful. It's just such a massive package. I don't really want to look through the index because I don't imagine it's going to be a first level index here. No, it's not. Okay, so it's something I might look into in the interceding week. Other than that, got it installed. We played with it a little bit, or got a little bit familiar with the way in which you interact with it, but certainly don't have full functionality yet. Next week, I think what we'll do is we'll see how helpful this is for a document. Since these weekly sessions are focused on authoring, we'll try to create a slide deck. We'll try to create a report of some format and a report of some type, and we'll see how helpful it is for us when we do that. All right. Thank you. As always, if you have questions about any of this or ideas for things to take a look at, drop me a note.